Most High God come first in everything we do and say. No matter what, it's just what it is. And this stream is brought to you by L.I.V.E products. L.I.V.E, live now. We're live now. We've got an array of products from drinks, punches, we got snacks, granola snacks, nuts. We also have cleaning products, talking dishwashing liquid, disinfectant, liquid detergent, and fabric softener. We also have car cleaning products, car soap to clean the car with. So if you want any of these products and you live in the Trinidad and Tobago area, then place your order today. You can contact me on this stream, at the bottom, or you can contact me also via inboxing me on YouTube, or you can catch me on WhatsApp. My WhatsApp is 319-4788. All right. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. We have a mouthful to talk about, and we have a short space of time to talk about it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do a follow-up on the traffic stop of T-Bud. And I'm going to go about doing this in a different kind of way. As you can see in the picture before you, the split picture, there is an officer with his weapon drawn, pointed at Terrence Crawford's head, his head. And I said, no. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your past looks like. No police officer is supposed to point a gun at the head of an unarmed person. I don't care what grounds you try to give. That is a no-no. This is a traffic stop. Now, how many times have we had, too many times, should I say, we've heard of traffic stops where Black people have been shot to death. Traffic stops. And these people are unarmed and they have been executed. And as I said before, this is not a topic that I am going to allow to slip off, neither by the Omaha Police Department or further notice to any policing department globally and worldwide. If this is your practice of drawing your gun at an unarmed person, you are in for a big surprise because the world is changing. And I put there in the title, Consequences to the Terrence Crawford traffic stop. There are consequences that will follow this. And we're going to go into that in much detail, and we're going to mention some names. We still don't know the name of the officer there, the picture of the officer there with his gun drawn. It is very important and imperative that that officer be ID'd, and also that that officer, his badge number be known. Omaha City Police have not been, they've been covering for this officer, and we're going to see that again. Shout out to Aki Sports TV, by the way. I watched your video, Aki. Very good stuff. But right now, we're going to go into some detail on this, and going to dissect it. Okay? Because too many times, and the thing is, we have some video footage of the incident, and we saw what was happening. So we're going to go into that in some detail today. And also, we're going to also talk about the matchup that Eddie Hearn is trying to push, that, Boots Eniss versus Terrence Crawford is the best fight in boxing. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about what Coach Calvin said about Gervonta Tank Davis taking nobodies and making them stars in boxing. We're going to talk about that as well as we're going to talk a little bit about Terrence Crawford's legacy in terms of what he's done so far, in terms of when we stack up his opponents, his pound for pound opponents. And mind you, when I say pound for pound, I mean, were they top 10 pound for pound when he faced them with Manny Pacquiao's pound for pound opponents and Floyd Mayweather's pound for pound opponents. Now, there's a couple things you need to understand. about fighters. And so I would go into all of that. So this is a comprehensive stream. Sit back, buckle up. You're about to hear something you probably didn't hear elsewhere. So enjoy what you need while you have it. Because you know something about what you need, you guys need to understand and appreciate the different kinds of content that comes out here. You know what I mean? And there's always something different that you can get by going to a different channel. Now, when you go to different channels, you hear them talking about the same talking points, the same stuff. That could be a bit boring, you know. But, you know, something about what you need, you probably have realized by now, which is why a lot of you come to what you need anyway, is what you need is kind of unique in his opinion on certain things. He's not trying to be controversial or anything. He just keeps on. He's very consistent about what he says, what he believes. And because of that, you guys keep on coming back here to listen to what you need. So do me a favor. If you really value what you need and what he's doing, put in the chat or put in anywhere, hey man, how can I donate to your channel? How can I ensure that, you know, I can see you more frequently and get more material? Hey, another thing, what you need, every time I donate to you, I get to pick what I like you to talk about. So these are a couple of things that you guys can do. What you need is just a fan of boxing. For a minute there, what you need was trying to work out and stuff. But I have just not had the time to do any kind of boxing whatsoever in my personal life. But I do want to still get back to it and do it. But having said that, let's go into what we're going to talk about today, okay? I'm not going to waste any more time. Neither your time nor mine. So in Omaha's news, this is KETV, number channel 7 of Omaha. The commissioner of police, whose name is Todd, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Schmaderer. Schmaderer sounds German. Schmaderer, Todd Schmaderer, that's the commissioner of the Omaha City Police. He said that officers acted within the Omaha police policy when dealing with Terrence Bud Crawford when they did the traffic stop and traffic stopped Terrence Bud Crawford. Okay, now I want to say first and foremost that if he's going to go with that, the commissioner of Omaha, then quite frankly, and I have to be honest with you, he needs to be fired as commissioner of police. Okay, because if you're saying that the policy of Omaha Police Department is to point a gun at an unarmed person who's a citizen who has been behaving and complying with whatever instructions the officers have said and with the law, then that commissioner needs to be fired and they need to change whatever policy Omaha has, because that will lead to unrest within the community of Omaha. Okay, the officers are not serving the community of Omaha. They are saving their own interests and their own asses. So the summary that I'm seeing here doesn't look good for Omaha. And then you're going to hear the commissioner echo those sentiments now in video. So we're going to go there. But first, let's get a summary of what was happening and what transpired. Sunday morning traffic stop. Terrence Bud Crawford's there was a gun inside of Terrence Bud Crawford's car. Terrence Bud Crawford was removed at gunpoint. This is a citizen who complies with the law, being removed at gunpoint. Finally, the stop is raising community concerns. These are all facts. These are all facts. None of this here is a lie. There was a gun in the car. The gun was held by the security, Terrence Crawford. He was speaking to the officer on the other side of the car. Terrence Bud Crawford said that he also possessed a weapon. He was talking to an officer on the opposite side of the car to the front. Terrence Crawford was the driver of the car. So there was a gun in the car. Terrence Crawford was removed at gunpoint. And mind you, at gunpoint, the gun being pointed to his head. Okay? He was removed from the car with a gun to his head. Let me repeat that. He was removed from the car. It's not like the officer brandished a gun and had it pointing downwards away from Terrence Crawford. No, this officer pulled his weapon and pointed it at Terrence Crawford's head. And let me say one more time, we've had multiple incidences of officers shooting unarmed Black civilians who are law-abiding civilians in the head. So this is not in a void, particularly in the United States. And that is a no. You cannot just do that. I don't care what you suspect. And we have the officer on camera with the weapon pointed at Terrence Crawford to his head. Mr. Todd Schmaderer says that they're going to have a community meeting to address community concerns. The politician, who is the mayor, who is John Ewing Jr., was not candid and frank with the audience, but he was very political. And he enforced Mr. Todd Schmaderer and his perspective. Here is Mr. Todd Schmaderer addressing the media, and part of the media was Channel 7 KETV, Omaha's news leader. Remember, this is in Nebraska in middle America. So all eyes on Omaha. And I will go into the actual interview, that little snippets of it, so that you can hear what the commissioner had to say. Here is, for the record, the officer pointing his gun at Terrence Crawford's head. Notice how he looks. Look at his orientation. Look at his finger on the trigger. He is ready to shoot Terrence Crawford in his head. In his head. Okay. We're going to now go, first of all, to the police commissioner and what he had to say concerning this matter.
Understand the importance of this traffic stop to our community and the implications and the impression that it has given out.
Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer says officers acted within policy.
Okay, so first, Todd Schmaderer is his name. Todd Schmaderer, that's how you pronounce it, I guess. Notice he begins his statement saying, one, I do understand how this thing looks to the community of Omaha, and I also understand the possible consequences of what happened here to Omaha. But what he has to understand is this is a little bigger than Omaha, my friend. How Omaha looks to the world right now with racist police officers is not a good look. Two, how Omaha, the consequences of this in Omaha for the police worldwide by worldwide people also doesn't look good for Omaha. Summarizing it, you listen to Mr. Bill Schmammert, looks another German-like name. In Newswatch 7, he is saying that, in summary, Mr. Todd Schmaderer, he's saying that the officers acted within policy. Here we go.
During a traffic stop involving Terrence Bud Crawford. Good evening, I'm Bill Shammert. That stop happened early Sunday morning, just hours after the boxing champ's victory celebration. Crawford and 3 others were removed from the car at gunpoint after a gun was spotted. The stop is raising concerns from the community. And today, Schmaderer and Mayor John Ewing Jr. addressed those concerns and released a detailed timeline. KETV News Watch 7's Maddie Augustine is live at Omaha Police Headquarters. Maddie, what did we learn today?
Yeah, Bill, we now know that the entire encounter between Omaha police and Terrence Crawford and his passengers lasted about 30 minutes. And Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer says the entire traffic stop from start to finish.
30 minutes. A traffic stop that lasted 30 minutes. What traffic stop ever lasts 30 minutes? And at the end of those 30 minutes, the people who were stopped, there was no traffic violation filed, as far as we know. They said he was speeding, but obviously they didn't know how fast he was going. They had no speed gun. 2, we realized that the people complied with everything the officers said, and nothing was found on them that was illegal. 3, 30 minutes, mind you. A citizen was detained into handcuffs for no reason whatsoever. And on top of that, multiple people in multiple cars were also stopped. Why are multiple people being stopped in multiple cars is another question worth asking. It wasn't just Terrence Crawford in his vehicle. It was multiple vehicles that were stopped. So let's keep it going.
Was captured on multiple video and audio sources. However, he says they will not be releasing any of that video or even stills out of respect to Crawford's privacy and because it's investigative in nature.
Now, they're talking about Crawford's privacy. Nobody gives a fuck about Crawford's privacy. Crawford doesn't have a problem with his privacy either. You can't speak for Terrence Crawford. What we do know is the officer pulled a gun at Terrence Crawford's head. And we have video footage of that. So you can hide the video footage how much you want. We already got what counts. You cannot point a gun at an unarmed man's head. You cannot do that as an officer. That's a no. That's a no. Let's continue. It doesn't matter that they hide their footage. We have the passenger footage. We have a passenger when we saw what happened.
According to Omaha Police, Terrence Crawford was pulled over at 1:28 a.m. Sunday after he went speeding past the officers Mason Gruggerich and James Valencia's marked cruiser. Police say Gruggerich requested a driver's license, registration, and insurance. Crawford responded he didn't have it and began searching in the center console. Simultaneously, Valencia was speaking with the passenger, Crawford's chief of security. That's when both announced they have firearms.
As Mr. Crawford was saying it, he was leaned over the console as he was looking for some of his items.
Now, according to Chief Todd Schmaderer, whatever, he says that Terrence Crawford said he didn't have the items and he leaned over the console looking through paperwork for the relevant papers to give the officer. First of all, we didn't see that on tape. We didn't see anything like that on tape. So that means that Chief Todd Schmaderer is lying. He's lying. This is why they don't want to give the video footage of what actually happened. So he's making up a story right here. Let's keep it going.
Leaning over the counsel when he said it. And he said it nearly simultaneously as the other passenger did. So the officer did not hear either of those, the driver officer.
Schmaderer says the passenger's gun was on his hip and Crawford's gun was at his feet, half under the floorboard and half sticking out.
Now, explain something to me. Why would someone driving a car have his gun at his feet, half sticking out of the floorboard? You're not afraid that that gun could fire off if you accidentally step on it? You're driving a car. Suppose the gun comes free and slides all the way out to where you are driving and impedes your driving. That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. None. Let's continue.
That got his attention to pull his weapon out and just bring everybody out of the vehicle so that they can conduct the matter safely while everybody's away from the car. It was that unsecured firearm on the floorboard that really got his attention.
All four of the vehicle's occupants were placed in handcuffs.
And that's pretty standard when we take people out of a car and conduct the investigation.
That is not standard. That is only standard for black people. If it's a white person, they take you out the car and then they try to secure the vehicle. Okay? It's never at gunpoint. Now, I want to say something else. This officer is clearly lying, and you can see it in his face. But what is the worst part about this is this disgusting person who needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. This disgusting person is also knows that this is going to give a bad impression of Omaha, Nebraska. He knows this. He also knows that there's going to be blowback on this. He's aware of this. Okay? He knows this. So he's lying, and he's lying to, I'll expose the lie. I'll expose the lie. Don't worry. He's lying. Okay?
Understand the importance of this traffic stop to our community and the implications and the impression that it has given out.
Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer says officer...
Well, let me just get to the bottom of it, okay? Let me get to the bottom of it because he's lying. Okay? Listen to this.
Sunday at 1:30 in the morning, Terrence Crawford was stopped by police on Cass Street. Crawford's head of security, Kazim Shabazz, was in the car.
Cop comes to my window. Cop goes to Bud's window. I know the protocol.
An officer with the Omaha Police tells KETV that while Crawford was reaching to grab his information, like license and registration, the cop spotted a gun by Crawford's feet. But Shabazz says things went down differently, saying Crawford never reached for his license or registration.
He said, no, I don't have it on me. I left everything at home. He had already told them, so there was no reason for him to reach for nothing.
Shabazz says both he and Crawford had guns on them. He told the police he had a firearm, following Nebraska law. He says things escalated when Crawford announced he had a gun.
Bud said, I have a firearm, too. The cop on his side went ballistic, totally unhinged. He says, get your hands up, get out the car, don't reach. But there was never a physical gun in sight. Everyone thought we were going to die, man.
So, Terrence Crawford, there was no physical gun in sight because guess what? There was no gun and no floorboard and all that bullshit that was sticking out. They're lying. No responsible gun holder will keep a gun that loose, that far away from him. Why would I have my gun at my feet? Think about it. I have to reach for a gun. I'm not going to reach for a gun by my feet. If anything, the gun's going to be either secured on me or it's in a vicinity very near me that I can pull it so I can use it immediately. Right? So that makes no sense what the cop is saying. And clearly, eyewitness accounts and also video footage show something different. When the cop comes and starts, put your hands up, and it says, remove your seatbelt, Terrence Crawford said, I'm removing my seatbelt now. My hands are up, and he comes out of the car. He says, I don't have, he said just before the gun, and we saw it all on footage. He said, I don't have my license and registrations with me. And then he says, I have a gun here, and that's when he went ballistic. Okay? Because Terrence Crawford, he didn't reach for anything. So clearly in the video footage we saw from the eyewitness account, clearly, the lady in the back of the car, clearly Terrence Crawford did not reach for anything. He didn't lean over anywhere. This commissioner is straight up lying. Like I said before, you need to fire that commissioner. And not only do you need to fire that commissioner, and they talking about different kind of training for Omaha police and all that bullshit. Listen, the heat's on your ass. The heat's on this guy's ass. Todd Shamako, whatever the hell his fucking name is. I don't care. All right. And now, if we don't find out who that officer is, because that officer is protected. We still don't know what his name is. We don't know his badge number, and we do not know where he lives. And I'm going to now we're going to target the commissioner. The commissioner is the guy that's going to have to hold accountable to these things. Okay. Todd Schmaderer. Okay. You're going to have to you're going to have to cough up answers, brother. Somebody's going to visit you in the night. And we don't care that you're a commissioner. Okay. Somebody's going to visit your ass. You're going to have to cough that shit up. Okay. See, it's good to target black people just like that. But you don't think that you could become a target. And you think you can protect that officer? It's not going to be protected. They're going to visit him. Okay. Now there were some repercussions to that, what happened. And we're going to talk about that now. This was breaking news. Same channel. Listen carefully.
10 seconds. Okay, I want to start out by saying good morning to the city of Omaha. Let me give an update on what took place here at the convenience store at 120th and Dodge. About 6 o'clock this morning, officers responded to a 911 call. 2 officers responded. The employees of the business here called the police because somebody walked in, a black male walked in. He was acting erratic, making a lot of incoherent statements. His body language was very aggressive. He was talking about the KKK, making statements like that. The 2 officers arrived, confronted him just right outside of the business. They had a conversation with the individual, which turned into gunfire. 1 officer was struck in the head by a round. He did, from what I saw in the video, continue on with the gunfight. The mayor and I just left Bergen Mercy Hospital. We visited with the officer. We were able to talk to him. We feel that his condition looks very good at this point as far as the prognosis. He's a 15-year veteran in the Omaha Police Department. We spoke to him and his family. After the shooting occurred, the suspect ran towards 120th and Dodge at the McDonald's, where we got another 911 call. Officers converged on that scene and was able to take the suspect into custody without incident, no further gunfire. Very lucky this morning we did not lose an Omaha police officer. And for the past week, I've heard a lot of scrutiny put on the Omaha Police Department. A lot of scrutiny that wasn't true. Some of it was false. Quite frankly, it's gotten a little bit out of control. We have a job to do in this city. These officers respond every day. They put their lives on the line. Being police officers protecting this city. And sometimes that's not the best circumstance that somebody may.
Okay, now let's get to it. So Todd Schmaderer, consequences. Guy shot up a cop, shot him in the head, was talking about the KKK. That's a direct consequence of what happened with Terrence Crawford. And it's going to get worse if they don't address the issue. The commissioner then looks to the mayor, who tries to agree with the commissioner and do everything. And all politicians are. They're full of shit. So the mayor was full of shit as usual. But here's the thing. You didn't expect blowback from this. You lied. You covered for a cop. And you didn't expect blowback. And you don't expect people to talk about the KKK and all of that. So there are consequences to everything. And this is just the beginning. Because it's not going to go away until this guy steps down as commissioner of police. He's going to have to leave Omaha. You lied for an officer. We know it. We have the footage. We have the footage. You lied. So you shouldn't be police commissioner, first of all. Second of all, talking about keeping Omaha safe. If that's what you call safe, pointing a gun at somebody's head is called keeping Omaha safe. Safe from who? Safe for who? Safe from who? Okay? So again, there are elements in Omaha and around the world who are very unpleased with what happened. You tried to target a lot of young people's hero. See, you think this is a black man that needs to know his place and needs to be humbled. This bigger than that. You dealing with the cash cow of boxing. And there's so many underworld figures out there. And now, Mr. Todd Schmacher, since I've gotten a name, you are a target. You are a target. You are just as bad as that cop who pointed a gun at Terrence Crawford's head. And I will not accept any excuse for it. You picked the wrong guy to do that with. And the blowback has only begun. It's not going to go away anytime soon. Anytime soon. And the politicians are like, let's calm down. Let's calm down the temperature. Nobody's calming down anything. That's like the Iran. When Iran started bombing the shit out of Israel, those racist people who are killing Palestinians day and night. Oh, let's calm it down. Let's calm down. Let's get a peace truce. Let's get a truce. Yet they're gearing up again to bomb Iran. Same thing. When your officer gets hurt and your officers are starting to get hurt. Let's have peace now in the community. We as the law enforcers, we need to keep the law. Don't you want the law to be in order and everything? There's so much good things. Police, no, motherfucker. It's not going to work like that. You need to step down as police commissioner. And we need somebody who's willing to get to the truth of matters and open back up the investigation and get the right answer. That's the only way you're going to calm this down. We're going down an irreversible road. And the way how things are going in the United States of America, I don't blame the common person. I don't care if you're white or black. If you find that injustice is happening and it's blatantly happening, no. We're not going to continue with that, my friend. Todd Schmatter. You better cough up that officer's name. Otherwise, some underworld figure is going to wipe him out and his family. I'm telling you right now, you better sort that shit out. You better start getting the record straight. So a lot of you dumb, stupid people. I don't care if you're racist or not, but you're stupid. You need to read the times. You need to read what is happening in the world. You need to read how people's eyes are opening up to so many different things. But if you're so stupid not to understand that things are changing and you want things to go back to the way they were, well, good luck on that. You're going to pay and you're going to feel for it. Like I said, this incident is not going away anytime soon. I'm going to be covering this to the very end. When I get that officer's name, his badge number, where he lives. And you're going to have to cough it up because we're going to put pressure on you day in, day out. This story is not going away anytime soon. And Bud can't stop it either. Bud could tell people, calm down, but nobody's going to calm down. Nobody's going to calm down. Just letting y'all know. Okay? Letting y'all know what you need out here. See, too many times bullies get away with stuff that they shouldn't get away with. I don't like bullies. Y'all know that. I don't like bullies. Okay? I do not like bullies. Todd Schmatter or Short Schmatter, whatever the fuck his name is. You are a disgusting person. Tom Schmatter or whatever your fucking name is. I have no respect for you. You are an officer of the law. You are there to protect and serve. And you are defending a goon who drew a gun on Terrence Crawford's head. A goon. So I have no respect for you, sir. None. People like this guy, they bring a disgrace to policing. Policing already had an uphill battle because it came from slavery. It comes from enforcers who are there to enforce and keep people in line. And now, Mr. Todd Smatter, or whatever the fuck his name is, he only endorses that. And Mr. John Ewing Jr., you're a mayor of the city. You should be correcting and checking this guy. Should be making sure he gets fired and the proper people be put in there to make sure that the law is brought forward properly. The people don't trust the institutions anymore. They don't trust politicians. They don't trust law enforcement. They don't trust the doctors, the lawyers. They don't trust any institution that's put up by the West anymore, because they're seeing now directly that the West doesn't care about the people, whether they be black, brown, whatever they are. And the thing is, the more lowly esteemed people are, whether they're the homeless or the poor or colored people, is the more we see how blatantly they don't care about people. Because if you cannot treat the least of these, my brethren, well, how could you say you serve God, or how can you say you're a Christian or anything like that? You mistreat the least of these, or whoever you deem least of these. Let's move on. We got some other things to talk about. Let's get it. So we're going to talk now about Terrence Bud Crawford and Jerome Boots Eniss. That matchup. All right, Crawford versus Eniss. So Eddie Hearn says that this matchup is the best matchup, the biggest card that could happen in boxing. I totally don't agree with that. I think that's false. While a lot of fans do want to see that matchup, I don't think it's the best fight in boxing. I think the best fight in boxing right now would have been, but probably is never going to happen, Terrence Crawford versus David Benavidez. David Benavidez is the hottest thing in boxing right now. And I understand Boots being a guy that can switch hit, but he's not on Terrence Crawford's level in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Terrence Crawford knows when to switch. He knows what works. He's able to make adjustments. Boots has shown he cannot make adjustments, effective adjustments. It's against a guy with good footwork who can move in and out and can mix up his array. All right. And we saw that against the European kid that he fought twice, finally dropped him. But even so, Boots really showed us that he is limited when it comes to fighting certain styles. So I don't even think that fight would be as competitive as people think, especially now with Terrence Bud Crawford being the size he is and everything. I think Terrence might end up smoking Boots and knocking him out, quite frankly. Okay? Because Boots is just not on that level. He's just not on that level. He's just not on Crawford's level, period. You know? A guy who Boots should be able to fight and should want to fight is Virgil Ortiz. That's a guy that's on Boots' level. Boots has been a world champion. Virgil Ortiz has not. But Boots is fighting again another nobody, trying to adjust to 154. A guy who we don't know much about. He's not really fighting somebody. So the only guy he fought that was worth talking about was Eniss. That was a tough guy coming forward, throwing a lot of punches. But Boots to say he could deal with somebody on the level of a Terrence Crawford, I mean, it's ludicrous now. It's stupid. And then he has to jump up maybe to 160 to fight Terrence Crawford. I mean, Terrence Crawford will have every single advantage you could think of: experience, skills, IQ. He's gonna have everything. So it's like, I mean, Boots is he's not very economical in how he fights, especially against certain difficult styles. He does not know how to make the adjustments. So he's burning a lot of energy, moving around the ring too much, and so on and so on. And Terrence is just, he knows how to be economical and everything. Everything. All right. So Boots versus Crawford sounds like a good fight. Boots needs to get a little bit more experience. He needs a lot more experience. All right. He's not the same kind of fighter as Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a guy who he can fight at different ranges. He can set the tone and control you. Boots has shown us jitters. He's shown us impatience when he can't get a guy out of there. He keeps doing the same thing over and over again. He doesn't make adjustments. He's not calculated like Terrence Crawford. He's not patient like Terrence Crawford. He's not composed like Terrence Crawford. I'm telling you, Terrence Crawford would destroy him down the stretch. Destroy him. Okay? Jerome Boots Ennis, he's good, but he's not ready for Terrence Crawford. Not on any kind of level. Not in any kind of way. Okay? So, with respect to Boots versus Terrence Crawford, and you guys wanted to see that, I wanted to see it a while back when they were at welterweight. I wanted to see it. This young buck, okay, let's see what he could do with Terrence Crawford. But the separation between Terrence Crawford and Boots is now so apparent. Like, so apparent. Like, Boots is not ready for Terrence. It just is what it is. He's not ready for that. And this is not any kind of 38-year-old. This is a 38-year-old who's taking care of his body over time. And if Boots wants to step up, get that experience, fine. But Eddie Hearn talking about Boots versus Crawford and pushing that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Boxing's all about knowledge. And Eniss doesn't have that knowledge in the ring against elite competition, which leads me to the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is Crawford compared to the all-time great fighters of our era or the era before him, such as Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys the pound-for-pound fighters that Terrence Crawford faced. I'm not talking about generally pound-for-pound fighters. I'm talking about at the time he faced them, they were on the pound-for-pound list. And then we're going to look at the pound-for-pound fighters Floyd Mayweather faced and the pound-for-pound fighters that Manny Pacquiao faced, the two greats before Terrence Crawford. So, to do that, I'm going to go first to Terrence Crawford, and I'm going to look at his resume here. And when you look at his resume here, he fought a number of good fighters. One of them is he fought Bredis Prescott. He was a good fighter. Bredis Prescott, as we all know, knocked out Amir Khan. And he was a good fighter. He had power. He was a Colombian fighter, power and stuff like that. And as you can see, this is Bredis Prescott's resume. He beat Richard Abril, who was a good fighter, became a world champion as well at lightweight. Richard Abril, I think Abril was a Cuban fighter. Solid fighter. He won by a split decision, and that got him to face Amir Khan. Now, he did not fight Amir Khan. Amir Khan was not a world champion yet. Amir Khan was fighting at lightweight, and he stopped Amir Khan in the very first round. Caught him with a combination and put him out. He then beat Humberto Toledo. He lost a split decision to Miguel Vasquez, who was a dominant IBF champion. Of course, Miguel Vasquez at the time had not become world champion, but nonetheless. Then he fought Kevin Mitchell, who was also a very good lightweight champion. And they fought for his interim title. He lost to him. He also lost to Miguel Vasquez. Those are good fighters. He also fought Mike Alvarado. Mike Alvarado stopped him in the 10th and final round of their fight. Again, a good lightweight champion. He then went on to fight Francisco Figueroa, beat him, and then he fought Terrence Crawford. Now, when he fought Terrence Crawford, I think he was at super lightweight or welterweight. I can't remember which one, but he fought Terrence Crawford and he lost to Terrence Crawford. He then went on to face. Who else did he go on to face? I think that's about it. No other big names there. So, he was a decent fighter. I would say he was a good fighter. Okay. Now, after Terrence Crawford faced him, he also faced Andrei Klimov. Andrei Klimov actually became the IBF super. He was a professional boxer who challenged for the IBF super featherweight title. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Yes, no. Okay. I'll leave Andrew Kleeman. Now, the guy that Terrence Crawford beat was, at the time, undefeated Ricky Burns, who was a Scottish professional boxer. Now, Ricky Burns was the WBO super featherweight champion. Then he was the WBO lightweight champion. Then he was the WBA light welterweight champion. So he's a 3-divisional world champion. So this guy's quality. Ricky Burns was a quality fighter. And Terrence Crawford went all the way across to Scotland to fight Ricky Burns. Okay? Ricky Burns, I think he drew with Ray Beltran. Ray Beltran had broken his jaw in a fight in which he fought to the finish and got a split decision draw against Ray Beltran. Ricky Burns was the WBO lightweight champion. And he was a long-reigning WBO lightweight champion. He beat Michael Katsidis. He also fought Kevin Mitchell. He fought Ray Beltran. Then he took on Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford beat him in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland. Okay, it was one of Terrence Crawford's greatest wins. It was also his first title shot, and it was the title shot that he won. And I mean, this guy outboxed Ricky Burns in so many different ways. He fought him on the inside, beat him up on the inside against the ropes. I mean, there was no doubt that he beat him. Now, Ricky Burns, after that, he fought Zlatican for the WBC interim title, international title. He then also fought Omar Figueroa Jr. He won the vacant WBA light welterweight title against Michel De Rocco. He fought Karel Kalea, I believe was undefeated at the time. And he lost to Julius Ndongo by decision. Julius Ndongo was he lost his WBA lightweight title to him. Julius Ndongo was the IBF champion as well. And they fought in Glasgow, Scotland. Okay. And of course, he also fought Anthony Corolla, who was another world champion. So he has a couple world champions in his resume here. He also fought Lee Selby. This is very late in his career, and then he retired, I think, a little bit after that. So he had fought a number of world champions. He didn't win against all of them, but he was a good champion, and he was a champion in 3 different weight classes. So he was one of the better opponents of Terrence Crawford. After Terrence Crawford beat Ricky Burns, he fought the undefeated Euricus Gamboa, stopping him in 9 rounds. Now, interestingly enough, none of these guys were pound-for-pound fighters, right? Then he fought Ray Beltran, was the guy that almost beat Ricky Burns. Ray Beltran would later on become WBO champion. And then he jumped up to super lightweight, fought Thomas Delorme for the vacant WBO light welterweight champion. Thomas Delorme is also a good fighter. Ricky Burns was a much better fighter than both Thomas Delorme and Bredis Prescott. And Euricus Gamboa was a much more dynamic fighter than Ricky Burns, but not as accomplished as Ricky Burns, right? Now then, Terrence Crawford faced Derry John Hank Lundy, Victor Postol, who was the WBC champion, undefeated as well. Very good, competent fighter. Victor Postol fought the likes of the following people. Victor Postol fought DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, Hank Lundy, Selçuk Aydın. Selçuk Aydın, was a much avoided fighter, went up to welterweight and fought as well. He fought Selçuk Aydın, and he stopped Selçuk Aydın. He also knocked out Lucas Matisse before facing Terrence Crawford. So, this guy, he came up trumps. He wasn't seen as this big knockout artist, but he came up trumps against big fighters, man. So, Terrence Crawford faced him, and a lot of people thought that he was going to give Terrence Crawford a lot of trouble, and boy, did Terrence Crawford mow over him. Knocked him down twice into his championship victory. He goes on to face Josh Taylor, who became undisputed super lightweight champion, so he moved up. And then he also faced Jose Ramirez. He lost on points to both of them. And then he also faced Gary Anton Russell. Of course, he's much older than Gary Anton Russell, knocks him out. And so he's fought a lot of world champions. Okay. And again, very solid fighter, Victor Postol. And the guy to give him his first loss was Terrence Bud Crawford. He also goes on to face Felix Diaz. Let me just say something about Derry Jean. Derry Jean, if I'm not mistaken, he fought Lamont Peterson, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can find it somewhere here. So Derry Jean, was undefeated until he faced Ivan Cano. Yes, he fought a really great fight against Lamont Peterson. He lost to Lamont Peterson, but he really had a great fight with Lamont Peterson. And people thought that he won that fight. So this is why they would talk about Derry Jean. So when he went up against Terrence Bud Crawford, they thought he was going to give Terrence Crawford some problems. So Terrence Crawford got him out of there in round 10. I still think Derry Jean is one of the better fighters that Terrence Crawford faced. I think even a better fighter than most of the champions that Terrence Crawford faced at super lightweight. I'm just saying. Okay, the other guy is Felix Diaz. I don't care about Hank Lundy or John Molina. Felix Diaz was a good fighter, though. Felix Diaz was a Dominican fighter. And let me see here. Besides Terrence Crawford, he also fought Lamont Peterson to a majority decision loss to him. He also gave Lamont Peterson all he could handle. He also fought Adrian Granados, a guy that fought also guys like Danny Garcia and Adrian Broner. And again, he won, but he won by majority decision. So, this guy was a good little fighter. Emmanuel Lartey, he fought him and beat him as well. That's the guy that gave Errol Spence some trouble. So, he was a good little fighter from Dominican Republic. And, Terrence Crawford knocked his ass out. He had to quit on the stool. Julius Ndongo. Jeff Horn was a good champion. Well, no, okay. Jeff Horn, he went on to, beat some guys at 160 and so on. He wasn't that great. Jose Benavidez Jr. is a good fighter, especially when he faced Terrence Crawford. He was undefeated at the time, as was Jeff Horn. Amir Khan was past it, and boy, did he get beat up. He kind of quit. Edgedis Caviauskas, he was an okay fighter. Kell Brook was in his form. I always say Kell Brook, he wasn't past his prime like that. And I think he really came to, and he was kind of giving Crawford the business initially until Crawford switched up and then stopped him. And Sean Porter, quality guy. We don't even, he fought everybody. He fought everybody, all the best fighters in the welterweight, and he even went down to the lower end of welterweight to fight Adrian Broner and beat his ass. So Sean Porter's, maybe he goes into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Who knows? Sean Porter was a good fighter. But none of these fighters I just mentioned, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, at the time Terrence Crawford faced them, were in the pound-for-pound list. Okay? Now, David Ibanez is a solid little fighter. But Errol Spence, on the other hand, when Terrence Crawford faced him in 2023, Errol Spence was a pound-for-pound fighter. In fact, let me show you what Errol Spence was. See here. So, first of all, I just want to show you a couple things. Errol Spence was in the pound for pound list as far back as, let's see, as far back as 2019, I believe. Yes. One second. Yeah. Oh, Errol Spence was in the pound for pound list for a while. For a good minute. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. So Errol Spence joined the pound for pound list in September 12th of 2017. So from 2017 all the way up to 2023, for 6 years, Errol Spence was in the top 10 pound for pound list in the world, according to the Ring magazine. September 12th of 2017, Errol Spence was in the top 10 fighters of the world. So when Andre Ward was pound for pound number 1, and Terrence Crawford was pound for pound number 3, Errol Spence was pound for pound number 4. And he kept on going up. Errol Spence was now number 9 in the pound for pound list in September, before the end of the month. At the end of the year, Errol Spence was at position number 8. So he was just rising up the pound for pound list, just going up the pound for pound list. He dropped down, I think this was after the car accident. Then he went back up to number 8 in 2018. In 2018, let's go to the end of 2018 here somewhere. Okay, see. Okay, so at the end of 2018, Errol Spence was at position number 9 on the pound for pound list. He's at position number 10. He dropped down to position number 10 in 2019, the beginning of 2019, that is. And he's at position number 5, March of 2019. So he had a big win, which kind of plateaued him up there to position number 5. In 2020, which was, of course, the time of COVID, Errol Spence was at position number 5 still. 2021, Errol Spence hovered at position number 6. In 2022, Errol Spence was at position number 5. So he was more or less at position number 5 on the pound for pound list in 2022. That's the year before he faced Terrence Crawford. Then he moved up to position number 4 during 2022. And when Terrence Crawford faced Errol Spence in 2023, I'm trying to get to here, Errol Spence was at position number 4, just behind Terrence Crawford, who was at position number 3. Okay. So Errol Spence was uncontrovertibly a pound for pound fighter when Terrence Crawford faced him. This is very important to understand. And he was a pound for pound fighter for 6 years straight. And it wasn't just he just popped up on the pound for pound list. No, for 6 years straight, Errol Spence was constantly undefeated fighter, pound for pound number 4 by the time Terrence Crawford faced him. So this is very important information to understand. Oops. Okay. All right, we good. So the quality of fighter that Errol Spence faced that Terrence Crawford faced in Errol Spence was a tremendous, you're talking about pound for pound top 5 fighter in Errol Spence that Terrence Crawford faced. Okay, which is big, it's huge. And it was a mega fight, of course. Terrence Crawford having a massive payday for it, and Errol Spence as well. And boy, did Terrence Crawford shine. And he made Errol Spence look super ordinary. I didn't even think the fight was going to go like that. I was very, very surprised. So Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford was really Terrence Crawford's plateau, undisputably, to the number 1 pound for pound spot. And that was in 2023. And if I'm not mistaken, and we can have a look at it and see, in 2023, by the end of 2023, Terrence Crawford was pound for pound number 1 in the world. That's what I do think. This is 2025. I don't think anybody could have outdone him. So the end of 2023, where are we? So July of 2023, Terrence Crawford was the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And Errol Spence went down to number 6. Then he went to number 7. By the end of 2023, Terrence Crawford was undeniably the best fighter in the world. Because Naoya Inoue, I don't think he's ever fought any pound-for-pound fighters. All right? And Terrence Crawford remained the best fighter in the world going into 2024. It was so in 2024, February, March, April, May. Oh, May, Naoya Inoue surpassed Terrence Crawford, beating Cool Boy Steph to become the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But the thing about it is Cool Boy Steph was not a pound-for-pound fighter. This is very important for people to understand. They were elevating guys like Naoya Inoue over Terrence Crawford. Never mind, it was devastating how he beat Cool Boy Steph. But you have to look at the caliber of guy that we're dealing with. Cool Boy Steph was no Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about it in terms of skill. Obviously, Cool Boy Steph was much more skilled than Errol Spence in terms of how he fought and stuff. I'm talking about in terms of pound-for-pound status and what you did and the accumulation of things you did. And don't get me wrong, Cool Boy Steph was, unified. He was the guy that was running super bantamweight. Certain fighters didn't want to face him. But at the same time, MJ didn't want to face him, right? And still at the same time, Cool Boy Steph wasn't a pound-for-pound fighter on anybody's pound-for-pound list. You know what I mean? So, Errol Spence was pound-for-pound number 4 in the world when Terrence Bud Crawford faced him. Which, Crawford didn't face anybody in 2024. But the point is, now I knew he can't pass Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford is fighting pound-for-pound fighters, and now I knew he ain't fighting pound-for-pound fighters. How can you, I don't understand that part. That's why I never understood Terrence Crawford reign. Now, if I knew he was number 2, I could understand that, but I couldn't understand anything else. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, after that, I believe Alexander Usyk beat Tyson Fury a second time. So he went to the number 1 spot in 2024, I believe. So Alexander Usyk was ahead of Naoya Inoue and Terrence Crawford. I still don't understand why Naoya Inoue was above Terrence Crawford. That's the part I didn't understand. I could understand Usyk surpassing Terrence Crawford because he beat Tyson Fury, who was the number 1 heavyweight in the world. Was Tyson Fury on the pound-for-pound list? No, he was not another pound-for-pound list fighter, but he was considered the most dominant of the heavyweights. And the heavyweight is the biggest weight class out there. So, you don't even need to use pound-for-pound for that. But nonetheless, Usyk beat Tyson Fury twice. He beat AJ twice. So I didn't have a problem with Usyk getting it over Inoue. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, Usyk's fighting heavyweights, right? But still, having said all of that, I thought Terrence Crawford should have been ahead of Usyk, even in spite of the fact that Usyk beat Tyson Fury twice. Okay? But anyways, it is what it is. So Errol Spence was still in the top pound-for-pound listing. Even after all of that, even though Errol Spence didn't face nobody after that, Terrence Crawford was now at number 3 spot once again. Usyk was ahead of Crawford, but Usyk even said the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Floyd Mayweather and all the boxers in the world were saying, no matter what the ring said, that Terrence Crawford was the best fighter in the world. Even though he didn't fight much in 2024. Anyway, after that, Terrence Crawford would face where are we? He would face Israel Madrimov, right? Israel Madrimov was a guy nobody wanted to face at the time at 154. He was giving everybody the biz. He was beating up every single fighter. He was undefeated. Terrence Crawford faced him, and he beat Israel Madrimov rather easily, I would say. And, showed what he could do that year. That was in 2024. And of course, in 2025, he fought Canelo Alvarez. And as you can clearly see here, Canelo Alvarez has always been, I don't even know how long. Canelo Alvarez has been a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter since before he faced Floyd. So that's all the way back, I think, in 2012, I think Canelo Alvarez was the top pound for pound fighter. Hold on a second. Let me get it there. So Canelo Alvarez has been a top pound for pound fighter for many, as long as we can remember. He also was at the top of the pound for pound list for as long as I can remember. So let's see here. When did Canelo come and become a top pound for pound fighter? Let's see. This is 2010. (2011). It had to be somewhere in 2012, I think. Sometime in 2012, it'll come. Okay, so Canelo actually became a top pound for pound fighter on May 10th of 2013. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he fought Austin Trout when? Is it because he fought Floyd? Because he fought Floyd in May. So I guess after he fought Floyd, not before. I thought it was before, but it's after he fought Floyd, he became a top pound for pound fighter, even though Floyd washed his ass and showed there was levels for a reason. So after he lost to Floyd, he became a top pound for pound fighter, and I don't think he ever came off the pound for pound list since then. So you're talking about 2013 to 2025. How much is that? That's what? 2013 to 2025. That's what, 12 years? What's that? That's 12 years? That's 12 years. So for 12 years, Canelo Alvarez was a pound for pound fighter. So Terence Crawford is fighting like seasoned pound for pound fighters. And of course, Canelo Alvarez was a better pound for pound fighter than Errol Spence, in that he had been pound for pound #1 in the world a number of times. Okay? So, when you talk about the quality of opposition that Terence Crawford had compared to anybody else in Terence Crawford's region, in Terence Crawford's era, nobody compares to Terence Crawford right now in his present era. Not Alexander Usyk, not Naoya Inoue, nobody. Him beating Canelo Alvarez, who is at the time he beat Canelo Alvarez. What was Canelo Alvarez's pound for pound status? Let's see. I didn't even look at that. In 2019, Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez was the number one. He was the number one pound for pound fighter. In 2025, Canelo Alvarez, before he faced Terence Crawford, was number 8 on the pound for pound list. Okay? It's number 8 on the pound for pound list. So those are the two pound for pound fighters that Terence Crawford faced in his career. He had a lot of good fighters. He had a lot of champions that he beat. If I'm not mistaken, he beat how many champions? Let's see. Let's see. He beat how many champions? Let's see. He beat Ricky Burns 1, Yurkis Gamboa 2, Ray Beltran 3, Victor Postol 4, Julius Ndongo 5, Jeff Horn 6, Amir Khan 7, Cal Brook 8, Sean Porter 9, Errol Spence 10, Israel Madrimov 11, Canelo Alvarez 12. He's beaten 12 world champions. All right, he's faced and beat the best in his division in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 divisions, I believe, because Ricky Burns wasn't the best lightweight out there. I think it was Adrian Broner. But at super lightweight, he beat the best. At welterweight, he beat the best. That's 2. Super lightweight, he did not beat the best guy because Fundora, I believe, was the best guy at the time. So he has 2, and then Canelo has 3. Okay, he beat 3 of the in 3 divisions. He beat the best, the very best. Okay, which is incredible. So that's Terrence Crawford's profile. Let's look now and compare that to. Now, there's a couple of things I want to just bring to your attention about Terrence Crawford. The first thing is that Terrence Crawford, when he started to get the big money fights, that's when he could fight the pound for pound fighters. So Terrence Crawford never got to face the very best pound for pound fighters at lightweight or the best fighters, period. At super lightweight, he did, but at welterweight, it's only after a lot of working and stuff, he got the very best fighter, which was Errol Spence. All right, it was a pound for pound fighter. So now that Terrence Crawford is hit and he's the money man, I expect him to be able to get any fight he wants in boxing because he's the cash cow right now. So anybody fights him, they're gonna make money. So he can now look at the very best, fights to be made, and he doesn't have to worry about people not fighting him. They're gonna fight him. The problem with Terrence Crawford most of his career was that guys didn't want to fight him. They ducked the smoke, particularly at welterweight. They were ducking the smoke out of him. He could have had a lot more world champions, a lot of pound for pound fighters weren't in his division at the time. So that was another reason. So he was a kind of victim of circumstance. But now I think, I'm sure he has a couple more fights left in him. And I think that he's going to have the very best to be able to face, So we'll see, how Crawford's career ends. But heck of a career so far. So we're talking about Floyd Mayweather. All right, I'm just gonna break it down real quick. I'm trying do too much here. So Floyd Mayweather faced. The thing is, pound for pound lists weren't really around at the time that Floyd Mayweather became world champion, but Gennaro Hernandez was considered the best super featherweight in the division when Floyd faced him. So Gennaro Hernandez was a very, very good win, a veteran fighter and everything. He would have been undefeated if he didn't jump up to lightweight and fight Oscar De La Hoya. But after that, he came back. He beat Azuma Nelson. He beat a number of young, budding world champions and world champions. Then he faced Floyd Mayweather, who forced him to retire on his stool. And he won the WBC featherweight title. That's how Floyd won his first world title. And you're talking about against a guy who Gennaro Hernandez was not on any pound for pound list. I don't think. I can check though. But my memory serves me correct. The ring had paused on pound for pound list. So at that time, Gennaro Hernandez was not on the pound for pound list. However, Diego Corrales in 2001 was considered the best super featherweight in the world again, and he was also higher than Floyd on the pound for pound list. And I want to show you that right now. So let me just close this off here. And back in, let's go with 1999, first of all, so you can see that, first of all, Diego Corrales was not on the 1999 listing, even though he's knocking out everybody left, right, and center. However, he was on the 2000 listing. He popped up on that. So in February of 2000, he wasn't on there. And April of 2000, he wasn't on there either. However, he popped up on the listing at the end of 2000. Okay, Diego Corrales was ranked number 5 pound for pound in the world, and Floyd Mayweather was ranked number 7. And why that's important is because at the end of 2000, I think he knocked out, I can't remember who he knocked out, but he knocked out Cole, another fighter, and he was just knocking out people left, right, and center. So he was ranked ahead of Floyd Mayweather in 2000's pound for pound list at the end of 2000. In 2001, Floyd fought him and beat him, stopping him, and he came off the pound for pound list. But I wanted to show you a couple other things because it's very important to realize that Diego Krause was no joke. He came back on the pound for pound list, and I believe it was what year was it? Let's see if I can find it. Corrales was back on the pound for pound list in what year? Was it 2005? Hold on 1 second. I'll find him. I believe it was 2005. Castillo was on it, but Corrales. There it is. Diego Krause came back on the pound for pound list in May 9th of 2005, and he stayed that way until, let's see, until October 12th of 2005. So he was there for a while, and Jose Luis Castillo took it back over. All right, so Diego Krause was twice on the pound for pound list. He disappeared from it, and then he came back after about 2-3 years. So Diego Krause was a hell of a fighter and a pound for pound fighter. Very important for people to know. And that was, I think, Floyd Mayweather's first pound for pound fighter that he beat, by the way. Okay, Diego Krause. So that's why Diego Krause is also in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He was actually like the best boxer out there. And then he was one of the best boxers, top 10 best boxers in the world when he faced Floyd and also after he faced Floyd. So I just thought I'd say that. And he also became the best. He was the best super featherweight, and he was the best lightweight in the world. Diego Corrales. Hell of a fighter. Jose Luis Castillo, as you see, he was on the pound for pound list, but he was not on the pound for pound list when he faced Floyd Mayweather in 2002. So he's not one. But Diego Corrales is definitely one. The next pound for pound fighter Floyd Mayweather faced was Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was on the pound for pound list when Floyd faced him in 2007. Ricky Hatton been on the pound for pound list for a little while, actually. But let me just scroll back here so you can see when he came on the pound for pound list. This is 2000, okay. So Ricky Hatton popped up on the scene, I believe, in 2004, 2005. I'll find him. Because Costa Zoo was on the pound for pound list for a good minute. And then Ricky Hatton beat him. I think it was in 2005. Yeah, I think it's in 2005. Not seeing him yet, but it'll pop up in a minute. There it is. So in 2005, Ricky Hatton pops up on the pound for pound list, June 7th of 2005. And Ricky Hatton's there all the way until let's see. I think 2007. Ricky Hatton stays on that list. Keeps going up and up and up. He's at position number 4. Position number 5. Number 5. Goes down to position number 6. Then he's at position number 7. Position number 8. Stays at position number 8. To position number 9. In 2017, he's at position number 10. He's back at position number 9. Position number 8. Down to position number 9. Okay, let me see here. So November 2007, he's at position number 8. And then he faces Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather is the pound-for-pound number 1 fighter in the world. He stays at position number 8. All right. So Ricky Hatton was, a pound-for-pound fighter when Floyd Mayweather faced him. So that's the second pound-for-pound fighter. The third, of course, is Juan Manuel Marquez, who was pound-for-pound number 2 in the world for a good minute. Was trying to get Manny Pacquiao. Instead, he got Floyd Mayweather because Floyd was trying to get Pacquiao. Pacquiao didn't want to face Floyd at the time. Shane Mosley. When Floyd faced Shane Mosley, he was pound-for-pound number 3 in the world after he beat Antonio Margarito to become the number 1 welterweight in the world. Miguel Cotto was not a pound-for-pound fighter, though he was the best super welterweight in the world. And Canelo Alvarez, as you already saw, he was a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter when he faced Floyd Mayweather. So when you put that together, Hatton's 2, Marquez's 3, Mosley's 4, Canelo's 5, and then, of course, Manny Pacquiao. He was also a top pound-for-pound fighter in the world. In fact, he was in the top 3 pound-for-pounds. They had Vladimir Klitschko ahead of Manny Pacquiao. So that's why he was at position number 3 when Floyd faced him. So, again, Floyd Mayweather, had in all 6 pound-for-pound fighters when he actually faced them. They were pound-for-pound fighters. And amazingly, only one of them out of the 6 was pound-for-pound better than him, and that would be Diego Corrales. Actually, I'm wrong. Juan Manuel Marquez was also ahead of Floyd on the pound-for-pound list. He was just behind Manny Pacquiao when Floyd beat Juan Manuel Marquez. So that's pretty crazy. Floyd has a pretty impressive script. And again, he beat all those guys. Now, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, I'm going to run through this as quickly as I can. The first pound-for-pound fighter Manny Pacquiao faced in his career was Marco Antonio Barrera. And I believe it was at featherweight. Marco Antonio Barrera was the guy at featherweight who Manny Pacquiao faced, and he beat him. The second pound-for-pound fighter he would face in his career would be Eric Morales. Eric Morales had just lost his fight leading into the fight with Manny Pacquiao. Eric Morales was, throughout his career, he was always on the pound-for-pound list. So that was another amazing fighter. And then when Pacquiao rematches Juan Manuel Marquez at that point in time was a pound-for-pound fighter as well, fighting for the super featherweight title. And he beat Juan Manuel Marquez. Some dispute that he didn't, but he beat him. So Marquez, Morales, and Barrera were 3 pound-for-pound fighters when Pacquiao faced them. Ricky Hatton was also a pound-for-pound fighter when Manny Pacquiao also faced him, which was his 4 pound-for-pound fighter. Miguel Cotto somehow, some way, was a pound-for-pound fighter when Manny Pacquiao faced him. I'm not sure exactly how, because Cotto at the time lost to Antonio Margarito, and then he had a less than impressive fight and win against Joshua Clottey. We could argue Joshua Clottey beat him. But somehow, some way, he was a pound-for-pound fighter. Neither Antonio Margarito or Shane Mosley were pound-for-pound fighters, nor Joshua Clottey when he faced them. He faced Marquez yet again, 3rd time. Marquez was still a pound-for-pound fighter when he faced him. Timothy Bradley was not a pound-for-pound fighter when Manny Pacquiao faced him. He became a pound-for-pound fighter after that. And Juan Manuel Marquez, when he knocked out Manny Pacquiao, Marquez was a pound-for-pound fighter. So we had Eric Morales, Antonio Barrera, Manuel Marquez, Timothy Bradley, Ricky Hatton. Okay, that's 5 pound for pound fighters he faced. Then Floyd Mayweather makes 6. And I think there's one more somewhere. I'm not sure who it is. There's one more fighter that I think is 7 Pacquiao had, but I'm not seeing the 7th. So Mayweather, Bradley, Marquez, Mosley. No, not Mosley. Sorry, my bad. Cotto, Hatton, oh no, I must be messing up. Let me try again. Morales, Barrera, Marquez, Hatton, Cotto, it's 5. Bradley and Floyd, 7. Now, out of those 7 pound for pound fighters that Manny Pacquiao faced, he was beaten by, if I'm not mistaken, 4 of them. Right? Eric Morales beat him, Marquez beat him, Bradley beat him, and Floyd beat him. Okay. Now he did avenge the losses of Marquez, Morales, Bradley. Who else beat him? Anybody else that you know of? I think that's it. So of the 7, 4 beat him, and he was able to avenge the loss against 3 of them. I think it is. He wasn't able to avenge his loss against Marquez, even though he was credited with beating Marquez before. Okay. So that's the stats. Now, you look at Eric Morales, he was a long-reigning pound-for-pound fighter, right? The highest ranked pound-for-pound fighter Manny Pacquiao ever faced was Floyd, and Floyd beat him. Okay. So that's the amazing breakdown of these legendary fighters. And again, there are a number of good fighters that also these fighters faced, and also Hall of Famers that they faced, guys who will go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. The thing about it is Pacquiao and Floyd, once they got big, once they became cash cows, they could take the pick of the lot. So that's how, people wanted to face Floyd all the time, or they wanted to face, Pacquiao all the time, because these were cash cows. You're getting the highest payday when you face them. And so Terence Crawford's now coming to the money, so we'll see what happens. Because the other people, they're being trained how to they're being trained how to how to fight, but part of boxing is getting the biggest and best fights with the best fighters. Which leads us to what Coach Calvin said about Gervonta Tank Davis facing nobodies and making them superstars. Now, I don't know about the nobodies part, but this is what I'm able to say about Tank. I'll say this about Tank. Tank for Jose Pedraza. Jose Pedraza was not a nobody. He was a big star, went on to do great things. He became a 3-divisional world champion. From super featherweight to lightweight to super lightweight, he was champion. Or is 3-time or 2-time? Let me just check. Jose Pedraza, undefeated boxer, was the best in his division of super featherweight at the time when Tank faced him. So I would consider Jose Pedraza a nobody. And he went on to do great things for himself, you know. Um, so, yes, he was the WBO lightweight champion. He fought, of course, Vasily Lomachenko. Lost him, but gave him a good fight. He also was the IBF super featherweight champion. He had defended that title successfully twice before he faced Tank. So he's two divisional world champion. Jose Pedraza. Now, what I would say about Jose Pedraza is he's probably one of the best wins on Tank's resume. You know what I'm saying? Now, after Jose Pedraza, he also fought Jesus Cuellar, who was a world champion previously to facing Tank. And I believe they fought for the vacant super featherweight title. I believe that Cuellar, if I'm not mistaken, had beaten Durchinian to be the featherweight champion. I think it's something like that. He also faced Yorkis Gamboa, but this is Yorkis Gamboa was totally faded at the time. Again, Gamboa was a well-known name in boxing. He then fought the well-known name Leo Santa Cruz, again, a well-known guy. Now, Mario Barrios wasn't as well-known. He was a solid fighter, fighting at super lightweight. He wasn't as well-known, that's true. But he wasn't a nobody. He was a world champion. Can't be a nobody and you're a world champion. Did Mario Barrios become a superstar after Tank brought attention to him? No, he didn't become a superstar. But again, he continued. He showed that he was a solid fighter with pedigree by becoming world champion at welterweight. And he's currently world champion at welterweight. Is he probably the weakest link as world champion? Probably. But Mario Barrios got to fight the great Manny Pacquiao recently, and he fought to draw with him. He fought Keith Thurman. He lost to Keith Thurman, but, he damaged Keith Thurman in that fight. He also fought Eudenis Ugas, who's a very solid Cuban fighter, and he actually beat Eudenis Ugas. So Mario Barrios, he went on to do more in his career, and so he's still in the forefront. He's not a superstar. He wasn't a nobody when Tank faced him. People in boxing knew who he was. So is Coach Calvin right about that? Nah. Isaac Cruz was called Pitbull Cruz because he was a fan favorite. He was well known in Mexico. He wasn't known globally, but he was well known in Mexico for his ferocious spirit and so on. And again, Tank didn't make him a superstar. He made himself a superstar by taking the opportunity with Tank to show he could give Tank a good fight, and he did. And because of that, he was more recognized on the world stage. So again, Coach Calvin doing like if Tank did Isaac Cruz a favor. No, the guy was prepared. He would always get ready. He always fought his fights. And Isaac Cruz became world champion, beating Rolly Romero to become WBA world champion at super lightweight. So he's he became a world champion. He had not been a world champion at lightweight, and he became a world champion super lightweight. And I believe he's the guy that Lamont Roach is going to be facing next. So it is what it is. So once again, I don't agree with that. Rolly Romero was not a nobody before he faced Tank. He was making a lot of noise in boxing. Rolly would run his mouth a lot. And he had a version of the world championship title, the WBA regular title at super lightweight. Big super lightweight, by the way. And so when he fought Tank, it was a big fight because of that. It was a big fight because Rolly Romero could punch, and also he had a big mouth, and he was able to get the Tank fight. So again, Rolly Romero wasn't a nobody, Now, Hector Garcia, he was lesser known, a competent boxer. So yeah, you could say that Hector Garcia was a nobody in the sense that there was no buzz around him. Like nobody was burning to see Hector Garcia fight. Again, Ryan Garcia had a lot of buzz around him. He's still not a world champion. He has a lot of buzz around him. The boxing world and the world outside of boxing know Ryan Garcia when he fought Tank. So once again, Ryan Garcia hasn't really done much. The most he's done is take PD use, and he was able to look good against Devin Haney. But really and truly, Ryan Garcia hasn't done much in boxing, period. And he's an announcer, and he's a big star and all of that. But he was a big star before he faced Tank. So all I'm saying is, once again, I don't know what they're talking about. Frank Martin was, he's an upcoming sharp fighter, and now we don't hear nothing about Frank Martin. So The actual opposite happened. Frank Martin had some buzz behind him, and now nobody wants to hear about Frank Martin, right? Lamont Roach, again, how he performed with Tank is such, and then people thought that Lamont Roach won that fight, is the reason why Lamont Roach is getting all the shine right now. It's not because of Tank again. Lamont Roach was a name in boxing. You know, even though he lost to Jamal Herring, he was coming on strong, and he was going to knock out Jamal Herring down the stretch. But again, there was a lot of buzz behind Lamont Roach for a long, long time. You know, again, people are making it out as if Tank, it's how Lamont Roach performed against Tank. That people think he beat Tank, that Lamont Roach is now known like that, right? But he was always known in boxing. So Coach Calvin saying that, they were nobodies before Tank gave them the opportunity to face him, that is not actually completely true at all. You know what I'm saying? It's not completely true at all. And I really think that Coach Calvin is making all these excuses because he's saying, Roach is a nobody. Why would Tank go back and rematch Roach and so on? That argument is the lamest argument I've ever heard in my life. Okay, that is super duper duper lame. Okay, let me see somebody. Is there any conversation of any kind? Oh, there you go. RJ Jenkins, what's up, bro? Booty is too inexperienced. Yeah, Boots. Yeah, Boots needs to fight Virgil Ortiz. That's the same thing I said. Bud's in the field with Henry Armstrong. Okay, can't really see what you're saying. You make another comment and I'll be able to see what you're saying so we can keep this conversation going. I want to see all your comments there, RJ Jenkins. Shout out to RJ Jenkins in the building. Guy who repeatedly comes back to What You Need's page to see what's up. Yeah, but anyway, I was saying, you basically said the same thing I said, that I don't think that Boots is in any way, shape, or form ready for Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford would destroy Boots at this point in time. I mean, destroy him, right? I think that Tank. So I was talking about Tank. So again, you just look at the facts, and then you will be able to say, no, Tank Davis, while he did give them the opportunity, he really didn't do much for these guys. It was what these guys did after that allowed them to be, attention to be paid to them. Just showing the caliber of fighter they were, which is all well and good. But the thing about it is, you had much better fighters you should have been facing. So, for example, Shakur Stevenson, great fighter. I mean, Tank didn't look to face him, right? You have Devin Haney, great fighter, right? Tank didn't look to face him. Lomachenko, great fighter. Tank didn't look to face him, right? You got not one of them has Tank tried to face. And it shows you, I mean, after the Jose Pedraza fight where Floyd pushed Tank and made him come up trumps and really bring out the best of him, Tank has not faced an opponent on the caliber of Pedraza since then. He's been making a lot of money, but he blames Floyd and talks about Floyd was trying to make him lose. No, Floyd's not trying to make you lose. If you know Floyd and the history of Floyd with TMT fighters, he always likes them to challenge themselves. He always likes them to step up their game so they could go to the next level. That's how he came up. Floyd was always trying to challenge himself. He was always trying to fight the best, the greatest. That's not Tank. Tank don't want to face the best. He don't want to face the greatest. He just want to make money. So Tank is different to Floyd. When Floyd became the money man, now he could pick and choose of the very best. And so he tried to find the very best in whatever way possible to satisfy fans. But Floyd's not that kind of dude. If you look at how Floyd used to try to challenge, even to this day, if you look at Carmel Moulton, Floyd keep on boosting up Moulton by saying, hey, man, put my boy Moulton in with you. Right now he want Moulton to face Roach, Lamont Roach. He wanted Moulton to face, because that's Floyd. Floyd's a guy, you have confidence in your skills and abilities, step up to the plate, take it on. Remember, Floyd took on Gennaro Hernandez when Gennaro Hernandez was the best fighter in super featherweight division, very experienced fighter, beat all kinds of guys. Even after he lost to Oscar, he's still whooping ass, right? Young fighters he beating up. And so Floyd took on that challenge. And a lot of people thought that Gennaro Hernandez had too much experience with Floyd and he's going to beat him. He's going to, beat him up and fracture his confidence. So this is the kind of background Floyd comes from. So when Floyd is like, Terrence Crawford should take on David Benavidez, and y'all saying he's a hater and stuff. No, he's not a hater. Even what's his name? Bernie, the boxer. Bernie's like, I don't understand why Floyd would say something like that. And I'm like, no, think about it. That's what fans would want. They would love to see David Benavidez versus Terrence Crawford if David Benavidez could make the weight. So I'm just saying that, and Floyd said at 168. Floyd at the time, I think he said at 168, because if Crawford could beat, and this was before Terrence Crawford was thinking of was going up to face Canelo, or got the fight secured with Canelo. Floyd was saying David Benavidez ain't got nobody to face him. So why doesn't Crawford face David Benavidez? Now, a lot of people not thinking, but Floyd's basically saying, I believe in Terrence Crawford's skills. I believe this guy could beat David Benavidez. I truly believe it too. Shakur Stevenson believes it too. And the truth is, Crawford, with his skill set, and he can beat anybody, man. Anybody at 168. Anybody at 160. Anybody, if he could make 154 at 154. But I think right now it's 160, 168. Crawford could beat them guys. You come down to 168, Crawford own you. I remember Andrew Ward taking on, what's the guy's name now? The 178-pound champion. I forgot his name now. He ruined that guy's life, though. He ruined his career. But, the guy came down to 168, and Andrew Ward handled him. Terrence Crawford shouldn't be bucking and complaining about nothing. I mean, if David Benavidez come down to 168, that's your domain, Terrence. You the king of that. Whoop his ass. You know what I mean? That'll be a huge fight, though. I'm telling you right now. So it's not a hateration, and that's the problem with some of these people out today. Shout out to again my boy RJ Jenkins, man. You got anything else you're going to say so I could see I could respond to you, brother? I spent almost 2 hours talking. I knew this was a lot to unpack, so I wanted to just cover everything. As I said before, if you guys can find out what the name of the officer is that drew that weapon on Terrence Crawford. Also in the report, he left out that he drew his weapon. They lied about the officer seeing a weapon. There was no weapon that was seen. They lied about, and again, this is all on tape, about Terrence Crawford going across to the the glove compartment to try and get documents. That's a lie as well. So I'm letting it know there was no gun at Terrence Crawford's feet. Okay, that's a lie by the officer, and the commissioner also endorsed that lie, and the commissioner doesn't expect blowback. Man, fuck that commissioner. I'm gonna say it straight. I don't care about nobody. Fuck that commissioner. You wanna continue the police brutality and police violence and the police intimidation of citizens. Yeah, they happen to be black too. So fuck that commissioner and fuck that police officer. As far as I'm concerned, I know some people don't like it because you're supposed to be a Christian and all that, but let me tell you something, man. That's bullshit that's going on. Nobody's supposed to be able to tolerate that bullshit. There you go. They were undefeated fighters, brothers in the same situation now. Floyd put Tank in that fight to lose. No, my friend, he didn't put Tank in that fight to lose at all. Floyd was talking about Floyd always talk like that about his fighters, man. Put him in the ring, and my fighter will whoop his ass. Floyd always have confidence in his fighters. That's bullshit. Tank is full of shit. Tank is full of shit. Look who Tank has been facing. Look who Tank is about to face. Look, he's full of shit. Okay? I'm telling you, man. Floyd, you think Floyd would put Tank in there with Jose Pedraza not knowing that Tank would beat Jose Pedraza? He knew what Tank brought to the table, man. He knew what Tank brought to the table. And Tank got Jose Pedraza out of there. He made him step up to another level. He made him step up, and Tank didn't like that, and Tank never got no other fight. If Floyd so hated Tank, he'd have put him in fights for him to lose. What fight has Tank had since then that he was put in a position where he would lose? The Lamont Roach fight is the only other fight, and he lost that fight. Tank is full of shit. Tank is full of shit. You look at how Floyd raised fighters. whether it be J. Leon Love, whether it be Ishay Smith, he always tried to get them the bigger fights, always tried to get them the tougher fights, always wanted them to face the best. The only motherfucker out here, piece of shit motherfucker, who don't want to face the best is Tank. He been ducking and dodging. And the thing about Mayweather Promotions is they've been always pumping him up. Tank's the best thing we ever had. Tank's the best. Floyd used to say the same shit. Tank could beat anybody. Man, I had Tank go up against Lomachenko. Remember when Floyd said that? And what Tank say? Oh. And then Floyd had to dial it back. Come on, man. Y'all can't bullshit what you need. This is what you need you're talking to, bro. This ain't anybody out there. I don't buy into that bullshit. Tank is full of shit. That's why he's fighting Jake Paul right now. He full of shit. Okay? Floyd ain't gonna put Tank in nobody to lose. Okay? Floyd's not that guy. Why would Floyd take his product? Huh? Tank is his product. He's talking up Tank left, right, and center. Adrian Broner wasn't Floyd's product, you know. Adrian Broner was AB Promotions. Right? Adrian Broner wasn't Floyd's product. And even with Adrian Broner, Floyd had advised Adrian Broner not to face Marcos Maidana. If y'all remember, Floyd is not a hater like that, man. Come on now. Floyd's not like that, man. If Floyd realizes too much for you, Floyd knows fighters, man. Floyd can size up a fighter, man. Floyd knows a fighter, man. And Floyd knew Adrian Broner was not ready for Marcos Maidana. If Floyd say Carmel Morton could take on Lamont Roach and whoop his ass, he know what he see. He know what this boy, he know the dedication. So when he knew Jose Pedraza, he knew Tank could face Jose Pedraza. Fuck Tank. Tank's talking shit. Tank is talking shit. I call out his bullshit all day, every day. Full of shit. Floyd already sized up Tank and knew Tank could beat Jose Pedraza. He knew that. But he was challenging him. That was the first and last time Floyd challenged Tank. And Tank said, dial off on that. And Floyd wanted to get me to lose and all kinds of shit. If losing's in your mind, then you are full of shit and you never really all of that. Because throughout his career, Tank has never faced the number one fighter in any division. After the Pedraza fight, he just wanted cruise control. And to get fights where he can knock out people and look good. Fuck Tank. I had y'all believing in the bullshit. Dude ain't even have confidence in his own self, in his own skills. Floyd had more confidence in him than he had in himself. And Floyd is used to the chaos. He's used to craziness happening. That's an excuse. I don't care if Tank was with Floyd's girlfriend and whatever went on with that. That ain't no reason for Floyd to not want you to push you as a boxer. Because Floyd's tunnel focus. It didn't matter what was going on in Floyd's life. Tunnel focus. And he thought it don't matter what's going on in Tank's life. He should have been tunnel focused. He should be able to beat anybody. He should be the guy saying, I could beat his ass. Not, oh, he sent me in there to lose. Get the fuck out of here, man. Pussy. He's a fucking pussy. I don't got no respect for Tank. None. Fighting Jake Paul instead of rematching Lamont Roach. He's a pussy. Fuck him. Fucking pussy. So, and people can defend Tank how much they want. Fuck him. You know, y'all defending Tank. Who Tank faced, man? Who has Tank faced as a number one in any division? Fuck this dude. They don't want to say, oh, and now they painted the picture that Floyd's the guy that, you know, the blueprint on how to duck and dodge competition. That's what they got. They got ammunition now to turn it back on Floyd and disrespect Floyd. That's not Floyd. Floyd is not that kind of fighter, man. Floyd is not that kind of fighter. Tank wants that easy money. Floyd wants Bud to lose when he says fight them. No, bro. No. That's confidence, bro. That's confidence. Floyd don't want. Trust me, man. Trust. Canelo's a better fighter than David Benavidez. I've been saying this over and over. If Canelo fights David Benavidez, he would beat David Benavidez. I've said this over and over and over again. David Benavidez at 168 was a weight bully. He had size. Floyd's dealt with weight bullies. Crawford's dealt with weight bullies. Jeff Horn was a weight bully. You telling me Crawford can't beat the brakes off of David Benavidez and not get touched? His pivot work is so on point, man. Man, don't let these jivers and these turkey jivers fool you, bro. When I'm seeing Bernie talking like, like he's scared or something of David Benavidez. There's a game plan how to beat that flat-footed kid, man. He flat-footed. Even Bill Haney said Floyd's a hater. Now, Bill Haney's a hater too, man. Bill Haney's a hater. Never mind Floyd, he worked with Bernard Hopkins to beat Devin Haney's ass and get in his head. Floyd ain't no hater, man. Not like that. Not like that. It was Floyd's idea for Ryan Garcia to come in 3 pounds heavier. And Bill and Devin ate the bait. They ate the bait. But Floyd wasn't there encouraging Ryan Garcia to cheat and use PEDs. That was all Ryan Garcia, though. But in terms of strategy to beat Devin Haney, yes, Floyd told him to come in 3 pounds overweight. Say, you know what? Don't share that weight. I'm sure he advised him on that. Okay. But Bill Haney, he run his mouth too much. He too disrespectful. He disrespected Floyd Mayweather Sr. He be running his mouth. Disrespectful to Floyd Mayweather Sr. That's where Devin Haney got all his boxing skill from, mostly. Floyd Mayweather Sr. And then you turn around and you saying all these slimy shit against Floyd Mayweather Sr. So, Karma's a bitch. So Devin Haney was eating that canvas. 3 times he eat the canvas on Ryan Garcia. Learn not to be so loose with your mouth. Learn to be respectful. And it wouldn't have happened. Karma's a bitch. No way. Canelo ducked David. Again, confidence. Canelo didn't feel he was confident to beat David Benavidez. So he ducked him. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to duck Terrence Crawford, and then the money was offered, and he said, all right, I'm gonna take him on. You know what I'm saying? Confidence. Don't have it. The fighter don't have the confidence. The fans and the people supporting them have more confidence than they. One thing I heard Terrence Crawford say is, I beat Jose Benavidez, and he was a big dude too. So, if I'm different to Canelo in that respect. If David Benavidez come down to 168, I tax that ass too. And I'm telling you, if David Benavidez is so stupid to come down to 168 and find Terrence Bud Crawford, he gonna get beat. I'm telling you. I have that confidence to realize that. David Benavidez got fast hands. He's explosive. Sometimes he stays on his toes, but he don't do it all fight. He don't have the foot speed to keep up with Terrence Crawford. He don't have the quickness. He don't have the timing. I'm telling you, he don't have it. Right? What he did to what's the kid name? That southpaw guy, Andre, right? What he did to Demetrius Andre, he ain't doing that shit to Terrence Crawford. I'm telling you right now, he not doing that shit to Terrence Crawford. Okay? Again, Demetrius Andre had only gone up he'd gone up 2 weight classes. Now he's going up a 3rd weight class. And his body hadn't acclimatized to 168 to handle the situation. If Crawford is going to take on David Benavidez, Crawford going to make sure his body is adapted for that situation. He's too thorough. He's too thorough for that shit. I'm letting you know, man, David Benavidez ain't beating no Terrence Crawford. I'm telling you right now. He ain't beating no Terrence Crawford. That weight bully shit, you're gonna throw that out the window. You. But I know he not gonna try and fight Terrence Crawford. He ain't gonna try and avenge his brother's loss to Terrence Crawford. He ain't gonna talk nice about Terrence Crawford. He gonna talk about I'll spare Terrence Crawford. Shut the fuck up, David Benavidez. Your ass know you gonna go down there and lose. If you go down to 168, you gonna lose to Terrence Crawford. He gonna beat you up. He gonna beat you. He gonna do to you. He ain't gonna be able to knock you out, but he gonna do to you what he did to Jose Benavidez. Serious. Bill Haney's the one that told Bud, yes, I know. David's too big, bro. Nope. At 168, no, he's not too big. He might be a little weight drain. He gonna be weight drain. That's for sure. But he ain't too big for Terrence Crawford. Y'all must have forgot. I'm gonna tell you again. He beat his brother Jose Benavidez. How the fuck did Jose make it to 140, 147? Right? Jose a big dude. Jose a big dude. 5 foot. I think he's 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, something like that. Jose Benavidez is a big, long dude, like his brother David. The two of them were notorious for beating up people in sparring. The two-headed terror. Them and the Durrells. Okay, so again, I'm telling you, I ain't asking you. David would get his ass beat by Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford would beat David Benavidez's ass. If he ever dares to step down to 168, he would get beat up. I'm going to say it again. I have confidence. I know what I'm saying. David Benavidez, if he was to step down to 168, he would get beat up. Terrence Crawford would beat him. How do I know this? I watched Caleb Plant outbox his ass. I watched Caleb Plant outbox David Benavidez. The difference is Caleb has nervous energy. Caleb's not even half the fighter that Terrence Crawford is. Terrence just needs to step around David Benavidez. You know, do what he normally do. He don't even have to move as excessively as Caleb was doing. Caleb was moving too excessively. Terrence already got the reach. He got reach on David. I think David is he's a 72 or 73-inch reach. Right? So, I mean, just think about it, man. You need to think about things. You just echoing what people say. Oh, David Benavidez is too big. That don't mean nothing, man. David is active with multiple punches. That don't mean shit, bro. Manny Pacquiao will have multiple punches. Bro, why y'all talk shit that y'all talk as if y'all don't know nothing about boxing. Think about what I'm saying, man. David Benavidez's biggest weapon is his jab. He's been working on perfecting his jab. That's his biggest weapon. It's not his multiple punching. When he closes the distance, he throws 3, 4, 5. He don't even mix up his punching very well. He don't have no variety. He just throw once he closes the distance. See what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, man, David, don't get me wrong. David is developing. He's getting better. I'm going to tell you this. David Benavidez versus Dimitri Bivol. I got Bivol all day, every day with them straight shots, straight down the middle. Step around him. Okay? Footwork. David too flat-footed, man. He can't keep up with these guys. Oh, he could cut off the ring. No, you cannot cut off the ring against a guy who knows his angles and knows how to move around the ring. You can't cut him off. He always have an escape route. Right? David don't have the foot cardio for that. He too flat-footed. Artur Beterbiev is not as flat-footed as David, right? And Artur Beterbiev couldn't keep up with Dimitri Bivol. Couldn't keep up. Bivol's always a step ahead of him. And Bivol is not as good a fighter as Terrence Crawford is. Y'all need to think about it, man. Y'all need to think about these matchups. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat myself. Canelo Alvarez beats David Benavidez. You can ask me why I think so. If Canelo ever faces David Benavidez, I don't care if he faces him at 175. I do not care if he faces him at 168. And don't get me wrong, David Benavidez has a hell of a jab, but Canelo got something for that jab. He got something for that jab. If Canelo Alvarez ever faces, there are certain special fighters in boxing. And only certain kinds of fighters can beat these special fighters. And they're special fighters in and of themselves. Okay? And even though there's a blueprint on how to beat Canelo Alvarez, you need to have certain attributes. You need to have certain abilities to exploit that. That's why Jamel Charlo is not Terrence Bud Crawford. Demetrius Andrade is not Terrence Bud Crawford. Okay? Jerome Boots Ennis is not Terrence Bud Crawford. Canelo is washed up, bro. He's finished. Nah. You don't know what the fuck you talking about, bro. So if Canelo's washed up, then he was washed up when Bivol faced him, and he was washed up when Floyd faced him. No, styles make fights, buddy. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. That same Canelo looked great against David Benavidez. That same Canelo would look great against Artur Beterbiev. You notice the names I'm talking about? If Artur Beterbiev was to face Canelo, I got Canelo beating Artur Beterbiev. If David Benavidez was to face Canelo, I got Canelo beating David Benavidez. Styles make fights. Canelo thrives on counterpunching. He got no problem with you coming to him, right? Unless you've got that footwork to exploit the situation. Then you can come forward on it. Okay? And I'm not saying that David Benavidez is completely a flat-footed fighter. No, he can get up on his toes. I've seen him shifting his weight from one leg to the next really rapidly. I've seen him, but he doesn't do it consistently. He doesn't have that kind of consistent, because you see, again, I don't know what David Benavidez and his team work on, but Canelo doesn't have the hunger. Oh, he has the hunger. He has the hunger. Man, come on, bro. You're talking like you don't know boxing, man. Listen to Oscar De La Hoya broke down what's happening with Canelo. Canelo has the hunger and everything. He was deterred. That's why he was shaking his head. Terrence was just outplaying him on every single play. That ain't going to happen with every single fighter. It didn't happen with Caleb Plant. It didn't happen with Billy Joe Saunders. It didn't happen with Demetrius Andrade. It didn't happen with sorry, not Demetrius Andrade. Sorry, my bad. It didn't happen with Jamel Charlo. It didn't happen with with the little guy, the Southpaw guy. I forgot what his name is. Right? It didn't happen with Callum Smith. I can go on and on and on. Even Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol, he didn't really, he outpointed Canelo. Yeah, he dominated Canelo. He didn't beat up Canelo. Canelo got that defense, bro. He got that defense. That defense makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Right? Even Terrence Crawford, he was saying, when he hit Canelo with the left hand, Canelo rolled with the punch. He ride the punch, take the steam off the punch. Even Crawford admitted he knew he didn't hurt Canelo like that. Right? So, I mean, y'all look at Canelo and y'all underestimate Canelo, man. What Canelo brings to the table is a lot of stuff. Like I said, he's like the Mexican James Toney. Canelo could go up and fight a heavyweight. He ain't going to get knocked out. Just letting you know. He might lose the fight, but he ain't going to get knocked out. He got really good defense. He's got really good defense. His problem, as Oscar De La Hoya said, with Terrence Crawford was he was frustrated. Everything he tried to do, Terrence outplayed him on every single thing. He showed, I'm better than you in this. I'm better than you in that. I'm better than you in this. I'm better than you in that. That's what you saw with Canelo. And it's not an old Canelo. Canelo's not old. Canelo can box his ass off. Right? And he's a boxer first. He's not a brawler. He's a boxer first. Right? And y'all really underestimate Canelo, man. The dude could stay right in front of you and you not touching him. He could block every single shot. The difference was Crawford's that same ilk. Crawford come from that same cloth. See what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, David Benavidez, his defense has improved a lot from since the last time, when he was younger. But David Benavidez got ways to go before he could even think about facing a Canelo and doing something with him. He ain't doing shit with Canelo. Canelo would just be picking off everything, all them combinations. They'd be picking off, blocking, pucking, picking off, blocking, dipping under it. He showcased his defense, be laughing at him, baiting. I could see him baiting David Benavidez in, and then coming with that uppercut on his ass, start taxing his body, start picking him up, in and out with them quick little darting shots. That little jab to the pit, he liked to do, and the straight right to the pit. I could see Canelo doing something that he did to Triple G in the first fight. He do that to David Benavidez. Frustrate him. Show him his veteran moves. You understand what I'm saying? Because Canelo's like a James Toney, like I said before. If he don't want you to hit him, you're not hitting him. You know what I'm saying? Pick everything off. Come back with something. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, David Benavidez may be the more active puncher in the whole fight, but Canelo going to be the more precise, accurate puncher. And he going to look good. Styles like David Benavidez is just tailor-made for Canelo to look good in a fight. Because he actually get to trade, do what he want to do, that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Canelo's a bad boy, man. Y'all don't. Canelo's been dealt with Triple G, and Triple G couldn't do shit to Canelo. Not once. Couldn't do shit to Canelo. Right? Supposedly feared puncher. Right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. David Benavidez, you know, they call him a monster and all of that, and he's doing good for himself. You know, and Canelo didn't give him the fight that he was supposed to get. I agree with all of those things. But don't get twisted, man. Canelo ain't no chump. He ain't no joke, okay? And for David Benavidez to beat Canelo, I still think he needs a lot more experience in fighting top-tier guys, you know, that actually could respond to him and make him have to do something different. He can't fight the usual fight he fight against Canelo. He's going to lose. Right? With all the hype going on. I'm telling you, man, that young buck, he asking for something he don't even know. I'm telling you, man, Canelo's not what you think he is. And just because Bud made him do that, Bud's different. We all know Bud's different. You see what Bud did to Errol Spence? Nobody's done Errol Spence like that. Nobody. Arturo Gatti, Errol Spence like that. Nobody. He's different. He's different. Y'all need to understand that. He was just boxing Sean Porter. They say he was behind. He changed gears and got Porter out of there. Like it was nothing. Like nothing. That's Crawford. Crawford's different, y'all. He different. You know? Canelo's a very easy fight. You made me laugh, bro. You made me laugh. Caleb Plant was an easy fight for David Benavidez. Was he an easy fight for Caleb Plant? Now think about what I'm saying. David Benavidez couldn't knock out Caleb Plant. And it was even for a good portion of the fight until Caleb Plant tired because of the nervous energy and all that shit. And David Benavidez couldn't stop him even then. You can't stop Caleb Plant, who Canelo knocked out, by the way. But you could beat Canelo an easy fight. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't disrespect a legend like Canelo, man. This is Canelo we talking about. All right, man. It's a cerebral fighter. David Benavidez hasn't shown me that he's a cerebral fighter. He's a guy that'll give you plenty of something. He give you plenty of something. You know what I mean? He'll give you lead right hand shots. You know, he will give you a little. He will give you the beautiful. A shotgun jab. He will give you a little. He can give you a beautiful power jab. You know what I'm saying? To push you back. But if Canelo reading them plays and he reading, okay, this is what he doing. He not doing nothing different with this. Same shit coming at me. Okay, cool. He make the adjustment and then what? What you gonna do then? What you gonna do then? Right? You're talking about a veteran fighter with X amount of years of experience. Now, if he don't have the confidence to beat David Benavidez, that's a totally different story. If he's not confident that he can beat David Benavidez, then he's not gonna win. David Benavidez will beat him. But if he realizes what David Benavidez really is, he will beat David Benavidez. How many times has Canelo fought guys much bigger than him? David Benavidez thought Callum Smith was going to murder Canelo Alvarez, and he was proven wrong. Then all of a sudden, David Benavidez wasn't so enthusiastic to face Canelo. He had respect for Canelo and all that. Remember, Canelo going up to 175, he fought Sergey Kovalev, knocked him out. He went up to 175 again, he fought Dmitry Bivol. He lost that fight, but he still fought. And Bivol's a different fighter, right? He's a cerebral fighter, right? David Benavidez is not known as a cerebral fighter. He's not known as that. I'm just saying. Right? He's a guy that would throw a lot of punches like a Mexican. He machine gun style. Right? So, I mean, make of that what you may. You know, make of that what you may. I'm not saying David Benavidez can't fight. Fight his ass off. But he's not no Canelo Alvarez, man. He's not no Canelo Alvarez, man. I'm just saying. You know? And he also calling Canelo old. He only 35 years old. He had a lot of fights. But Canelo really hasn't gotten touched a lot in his fights. You know? Nobody ever touched up Canelo. I don't know anybody who touched up Canelo. Not even Bevo. Bevo didn't really touch up Canelo. Canelo had his defense on point, cat-like reflexes and all of that shit. He don't have the quickest feet, but his upper body move like. I mean, Crawford's coming up in weight, so Crawford can match the speed of Canelo. David Benavidez is a big ass dude. He got quick hands. He ain't got quick feet. You know. So I'm just saying, yeah. Well, man, we spent 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 6 seconds talking about boxing. And I was very happy to talk with boxing with you guys, man. You know, I think a lot of people are making too much out of Goliath, man. Y'all really think that David Benavidez is some Goliath or something? You know what I mean? But David Benavidez ain't shit. And compared to Canelo and compared to Crawford and compared to Bevo and compared to who else we can talk about, elite boxers out here. At the top level, Usyk and them kind of guys, he ain't shit like them. He not on those levels, man. Those guys are, you know, they cerebral boxers. Best way to put it. They fight smart. They are smart boxers. There's a lot they do in that ring, man. They got all kinds of little tricks up their sleeve that David Benavidez is not ready for. Veteran tricks and so on. You know? So, I mean, I think you guys reading a little too much into it than it really is. You need to look at it for what it is. For what it is. Again, I said Canelo would beat Artur Beterbiev. Now, when Artur Beterbiev was on a tear, I'm sure y'all will say, oh, Beterbiev would knock out Canelo. Because, again, when you talk about Artur Beterbiev in terms of strength, Artur Beterbiev is a very, very strong fighter. And, again, he wears you down. When he hits you with punches, he don't get a one-hitter quitter on you. He wear you down. He chop you down like a tree, systematically. And I think Beterbiev's actually a better fighter systematically than David Benavidez is. David used to beat up Bevo in sparring, which means what? What do I mean, though? That's sparring. Bevo working on different shit. It's sparring. And he would claim that he beat up Bevo. As I said before, if he faces Bevo, whether it's at cruiserweight or at light heavyweight, he going to learn what is sparring and what is boxing. Sergey Kovalev used to get beat up when he's sparring people. And the same guy might be his sparring partner, he knock him out in the ring. So what I mean? What I mean? What I mean? A boxer's working on different things. You know, fresh fighters going to be coming in and out facing him. So what I really mean? That don't mean nothing. That don't mean shit. That don't mean shit. He was sparring Triple G too, and they say he was giving as good as he was getting. That don't mean shit. That's sparring. Sparring don't mean shit. You repeating yourself, bro. I got that the first time. See what I'm saying? I got that the first time. You know? Two people that Canelo have to face, and he basically faced everybody. You think about it. He just got to face David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. Them is the two guys he has left to face. He faced Jamel Charlo. His brother is a wuss. Maul ain't want no smoke with Canelo. So you have Jamel Charlo, you got Benavidez, and you have Andrade and Benavidez. Them is the only other two people of his generation he need to face. And he had to face everybody. You know what I mean? So all this duck and dodge nonsense about Canelo, has already been put to rest. He faced all the guys he was supposed to face, except for 2. Sparring, as we all know, doesn't mean shit. It's a confidence builder for the young fighter. For the older fighter, it's about sharpening his tools. That's it. It's as much as it gets out of sparring. It's particularly if somebody's preparing for a fight. They're not preparing for you, so, I mean, if you get the better of them one time, good for you. That helps your confidence. But you are one of several guys that is sparring them at any given time. So, I mean, it helps your confidence, but that's about it. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean jack shit for jack shit. Because you're not going into that ring to face an opponent professionally to spar. You're going into the ring to face a guy professionally to fight. An actual fight is not the same as sparring. You know that. We all know that. Doesn't matter if you were champion of the gym. Nobody gives a fuck about that. There are a lot of champions of the gym that didn't do shit in their professional careers, but they champion of the gym. That's not what it's for. The gym is to prepare you for the actual fights. Raleigh got the best of Ryan in sparring, which means what? That don't mean shit, like I said before. It doesn't mean shit. Think about what I'm saying, because you're not thinking about what I'm saying. You think you know what I'm saying. You think you know what I'm saying, but you don't. Ryan and Raleigh were just sparring for sparring's sake. Ryan wasn't preparing for no damn fight, and Raleigh wasn't preparing for no damn fight. You're talking about guys who were not world champions, and they were just sparring with each other, right? For sparring's sake. And even then, that was a long time ago. Raleigh would tell you, Ryan evolved since then. That was not the reason why Raleigh beat Ryan. We all know that wasn't the reason why Raleigh beat Ryan. It's because Ryan is left hook happy, and he always gets caught when he's throwing his left hooks, if you're a smart fighter. Okay? You already know that. Raleigh would tell you why Ryan beat Devin. Ryan beat Devin because Devin gave him the 3 extra pounds he didn't have to drop. That gave him a distinct advantage over Devin. Right? Oliver McCall used to spar Lennox Lewis and knocked him out. Oliver McCall used to spar Mike Tyson, bro. Everybody spars everybody. That don't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. They had a good game plan, and they was able to take out Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis came in there lackadaisical. That's it. Because the rematch, you remember, he sparred Lennox Lewis, right? If that's true, then in the rematch, Lennox Lewis shouldn't have beat his ass so much that he was crying in the ring. Okay, so let's stop the bullshit. Sparring means so much. Then he should have beaten him again. He should have beat him again. Right? Sparring is something that boxers do all the time. Right? All the different boxers. All of them spar each other. You got a world champion like Vladimir Klitschko. He spar everybody. Okay? There's lots of people he spar. Right? So when you say, oh, well, Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, but guess what? He was one of many people who Vladimir Klitschko sparred. Right? To prepare for a fight. So obviously one of them at some point in time is going to grow up enough to be able to beat him in an actual pro fight. Bruh, Lennox Lewis fought Oliver McCall twice. Obviously, you forgot. He fought Oliver McCall twice. Oliver McCall is the guy became world champion and knocked out Lennox Lewis. It was him and another guy, I forget what his name is right now, from Washington, D.C. Okay? I'm seeing him. I just can't remember him. His son boxes as well. I just can't remember him right now. Okay? And the second time, Lennox Lewis whooped his ass, and he cried. He was getting his ass whooped around the ring. They thought he got a nervous breakdown or something like that. Oliver McCall. All right, man. It was good talking with you guys. Sparring is good for your confidence, my friend. Sparring is good for your confidence. Sometimes guys will keep on certain sparring partners and because they give them good work for what they're preparing for. You know what I mean? Especially world champions. You know what I'm saying? So, and the world champion will give you tips and all these kinds of things. Take him under the wing, trying to help you out, right? So all I'm saying is that sparring is good for you to realize, hey man, I'm kind of on this level. I'm on the level with this guy here. It helps your confidence, you know? But to say that the dude's not preparing for you, you're not his priority, you know what I mean? So if you get the better of him, and it happens all the time. Even Floyd got beat up in sparring. Guys brag, much bigger guys than Floyd. They're not necessarily in his weight class. And they talk about it, they beat him up or whatever. So what? That don't mean nothing. It's sparring. It's sparring. You know, it's going to happen. Anyways, man, I got to get out of here and do some work. You know, Coach Eric Bradley always says, sparring don't mean shit. Don't read too much into it. Don't read too much into it. Just because one guy sparring another guy and he got the better of him, don't mean that. And you know, these young bucks, they know that, but they keep on talking about sparring and sparring. How many people you spar in your career? And how many of them sometimes get the better of you? So what? You're tightening up your skills. If this is not the actual fight, this is not for money or anything. So some guys, you know, to take it easy. There's a lot of guys who they look like dog shit in sparring. People be beating them up all the time. But when it comes to the actual professional fight, you know, they on. They turn on for that. Lots of guys. The guy that beat Costa Zoo, Vince Phillips, used to get beat up in sparring. Sergey Kovalev used to get beat up in sparring. So what? That don't mean shit. You know that, coach. You know sparring don't mean shit, man. You know that. Sparring is just what it is. Sparring. All right. Even if guys are going hard at one another, it's still just sparring. People get knocked out in sparring, all kinds of crazy things. That don't mean nothing. It don't mean shit. Don't mean shit. Because on fight night, it's a totally different story. Because you've been focused on one person. In sparring, you're not focused on one person. When you sparring whoever, you know, but when you actually go and fight, actual fight, the contracts and everything is signed, you focus solely on one individual. You're giving all your effort and energy to that. And that's what the sparring is supposed to help you with. The sparring, I'm not focused on the guy I'm sparring in terms of for my fight, because I'm not fighting him. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm not saying that likely Crawford will face Benavidez. That's not what I'm saying. Mind you, Benavidez is a big dude. I don't even know if he could make 168. His father's saying it would be hard to make 168. My father's not a buck now. He's like, oh, it might be hard to make 168, but I think we could make it. Because let me tell you something. David Benavidez's father knows a bigger fight than Canelo versus Benavidez is Terrence Crawford versus Benavidez. Okay? And if that's where the real money is at, homie, you should go for it. That's what I think. You know, David Benavidez sometimes said, yeah, you got to put your unbeaten record on the line to get a legacy-defining fight. Terrence Crawford versus David Benavidez would be a legacy-defining fight for David Benavidez. Put him on the map, even if he gets his ass beat. You know what I'm saying? And then the good news is Terrence Crawford is still, you know, considered a smaller guy than David Benavidez. So, you know, we don't expect David Benavidez to get knocked out by Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? So the loss, it'll be a competitive fight, I'm sure. And the loss wouldn't be that, you know, that damaging. David could continue his career and he could say, well, you know, the weight loss, I was weight drained or whatever. He can make excuses and keep it going. But at least he'd have fought a Hall of Famer for sure and is the best boxer in the world. He'll be able to say, well, what it's like to face the very best boxer, the guy that gave him the shot that Canelo didn't give him, to be undisputed at 168. I mean, there's so much that could go into that story. Avenging my brother's loss, Jose Benavidez. I mean, it's rich, man. Like I said before, Crawford versus David Benavidez. You know, that's the biggest fight in boxing, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything bigger than that right now. But if David can't make it, so be it. But if David goes down there, I'm telling you, he's gonna get his ass beat. I'm telling you, Crawford gonna beat him. I ain't betting against Crawford ever. If that fight ever gets made, I'm picking Crawford to win. I'm sure even Jose Benavidez might pick Crawford to win. Junior, I think Junior might say, I think Crawford gonna beat him. I don't think he's gonna back his brother. I think the tune gonna change. And David, you gonna be on your own, David. Because the IQ difference is just so vast, man. The difference in IQ is just it's so far. Like, David's on the rise. You know what I mean? That rise is going to get fucked up by Terrence Crawford. I'm telling you, man. That ain't no guy you want to mess with. Terrence is not a guy you want to mess with. I'm telling you. That's how much I know. That's how much I believe Terrence Crawford would beat David Benavidez. Now, having said all that, I don't really expect that fight to happen because, like I said before, David Benavidez, he's looking to move to bigger weight classes and fight at cruiserweight. I hear him talking about fighting. What's the Mexican kid's name? The Mexican kid at cruiserweight, the Southpaw, Ramirez. I hear him talking about fighting Gilberto Ramirez. So if he's thinking down that road, then it's probably better if he just can go up and fight him. But tell you, man, you know, that would not be good for David Benavidez. Would lose momentum after he fights Terrence Crawford. But what I would say though is the risk is worth the reward. Like, we faced Terrence Crawford, the best boxer in the world, the cash cow boxing in the world. Not only would you bring excitement to the fans and the Mexican fans and everybody, but you would also bring out the brilliance of Terrence Crawford. And then Terrence Crawford's next paycheck is going to be extraordinary because you just faced, you know, a world champion at 175. I'm not saying he's the champion, but a world champion at 175 who decided to come down to 168 and fight you. You know, even Crawford versus Bivol saying, man, I will sacrifice, you know, my weight. I'll come down to 168. That ain't gonna happen, but I'll come down to 168 to fight Terrence Crawford, you know. Sparring gives you a mental edge. This is why something you were saying, Devin Haney or whatever. Devin Haney could say whatever he wants to say. Sparring is sparring, like I said before. Sparring is sparring. Sparring. Don't try to read too much into sparring. You know, Floyd sparring, you know, Pernell Whitaker, don't read too much into that. Sparring. You know, sparring. It's good for building confidence. That's true. Especially for, you know, young fighters facing world champions and realizing, hey, I can hang with this world champion. And then seeing a lot of guys get slept by the world champion as well. And then you go in there and you being competitive. Of course, that builds confidence. But to say that it does anything more than that is truly damaging. You know, it's not good to read too much into things. It's like saying amateur fights are amateur fights. And yes, a guy might get the better of you in an amateur fight because he fighting style, but you just never know. And the pros, the guy may not fight the same way, and or he may present different problems to you in the pros. So it's people keep on growing and evolving, and that's also very important to say. Yes, the style might be the same, but it might have so many other wrinkles to it. And I think this, small things, all things, as they say. The devil's in the details. So sometimes these small little things that you do in boxing can change the whole way how a fight goes. And that's the thing with boxing. I mean, if my focus is not really on you, but my focus is on the guy I'm about to fight, I'm sparring with you. I'm still trying to execute whatever it is that I'm trying to perfect while I'm in sparring with you. So I'm not taking you that as if I'm fighting a real fight and I need to pull out all my tools from the tool bag. Sometimes I handicap myself while I'm fighting you, right? I can only use my jab, or I can't throw any punches. I'm just working on defense or whatever it is, right? I'm not going to tell you that because so you feel you're doing the better of me. You're like, oh man, I'm doing great against this world champion, but the world champion he's working on shit. You know what I'm saying? He not going to tell you that. He not even going to tell his coach that. He working on different shit. Because he knows you're inexperienced, and he has enough tricks up his sleeve, veteran moves up his sleeve that he can keep you in control and in check, but make you feel like you're doing something at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, David Benavidez claims that he beat up Dimitri Bivol in sparring. That's what he claims. But maybe that's what he's seeing because he's built his confidence that way. But really and truly, when you see the actual thing, you realize, nah, man, that ain't the scenario at all. That's not what really is happening. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys, man. I'm what you need.